Welcome to DreadTime Stories, where the shadows whisper secrets and the night holds tales that chill the spine. Are you ready to dive into the darkness? Let's begin, if you dare. In the dim glow of the moon, I find myself ensnared within the labyrinth of my own mind, where shadows dance and whispers echo. It was but a fortnight ago that I moved into this quaint apartment, seeking solace from the cacophony of the world. Yet solace was not to be my companion. Instead, I have become a prisoner of my own recollections, or rather, the lack thereof. Each night, as the clock strikes midnight, I am roused from slumber by a peculiar sensation, void where once vibrant memories resided. It began with the trivial, forgotten book title, a misplaced key, but soon the thief grew bolder, pilfering the very essence of my being. I awoke one morning unable to recall my childhood home, the scent of my mother's perfume, sound of my father's laughter. Desperation clawed at my chest as I sought answers, my mind a swirling tempest of confusion and dread. It was then that I noticed him, my neighbor, a man of peculiar demeanor. His eyes, dark as the abyss, seemed to pierce through the veil of my soul. He greeted me with a smile that never reached his eyes, a smile that sent shivers down my spine. I became obsessed, watching him from my window, noting his comings and goings. His apartment, a mere stone's throw from mine, emanated an aura of mystery. Late at night, I would hear faint murmurs, as if he conversed with the shadows themselves. It was then that the truth unfurled before me, a truth more terrifying than any nightmare. He was a collector, thief of memories, siphoning the essence of others to quench his insatiable thirst for experience. Each night, as I lay defenseless in slumber, he would creep into my mind, plucking my memories like ripe fruit from a tree. The realization struck me with the force of 1,000 storms. I was but a vessel, slowly being emptied of all that I held dear. I confronted him, my voice trembling with fear and rage, merely chuckled, a sound devoid of warmth, and spoke of the beauty of his collection, tapestry of lives he had woven from stolen threads. You see, he intoned, memories are but fleeting whispers in the wind, and I am their keeper. Desperation turned to resolve as I vowed to reclaim what was mine. I delved into the ancient tomes of forgotten lore, seeking a way to sever the tether that bound him to my mind. With each passing night, I grew weaker, my memories slipping through my fingers like sand. And now, as I pen these words, I feel the weight of oblivion pressing upon me. The thief's grip tightens, and I fear I am but a breath away from becoming a hollow shell. Yet in this final hour, I cling to hope, a hope that my words may serve as a warning to those who dare to tread upon the path the memory thief. Beware, dear reader, for the shadows that lurk in the corners of your mind may not be your own. Guard your memories well, lest they become the spoils of a thief who knows no remorse. In the dim confines of my study, where shadows waltz with the flickering candlelight, I find myself ensnared in a web of dread and intrigue. As a psychologist, I have long been the keeper of secret, confidant to troubled soul. Yet it was not until the arrival of the first letter that I understood the true weight of such a burden. The letters began as an enigma, unsigned and unbidden, arriving with the regularity of the tide. Each envelope bore no return address, only my name scrawled in a hand both elegant and sinister. Within, the contents were chilling, a meticulous account of the darkest confessions my patients had entrusted to me. The words, once spoken in the sanctity of my office, now lay bare before me, stripped of their privacy. At first, I dismissed them as a cruel jest, a prank perpetrated by some disgruntled soul. But as the letters continued, their tone grew more insidious, more personal. They spoke not only of my patients' secrets, but of my own, whispers of my past, my fears, my regrets. It was as if the author had peered into the very depths of my soul, unraveling the tapestry of my life with a deft hand. A chill settled upon me, a gnawing suspicion that I was being watched, my every move scrutinized by unseen eyes. I became a prisoner within my own home, the once comforting walls now oppressive and confining. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the wind, set my heart racing with terror. It was then that I recalled a former patient, a man whose mind was a labyrinth of darkness and despair. He had left my care abruptly, his parting words a cryptic warning that now echoed in my mind. Could it be him, the architect of this torment? A thought festered within me, a seed of fear that blossomed into certainty. I resolved to confront him, to unmask the specter haunted my nights. I delved into my record, tracing his steps through the tangled streets of the city. My search led me to a dilapidated building, windows dark and foreboding. With trepidation, I entered, the air thick with the scent of decay and madness. There, in the dim light of a single bulb, I found him, a specter of his former self, his eyes hollow and devoid of reason. He spoke in riddles, his voice a rasping whisper that clawed at my sanity. "You see," he intoned, "in the end, we are all but mirrors, reflecting the darkness within." His words, though cryptic, revealed the truth. He had become the keeper of secrets, the collector of shadows. In his twisted mind, he believed himself to be my equal, confidant to the darkness that dwelled within us all. As I stand before him, the weight of his madness pressing upon me, I realize that there is no escape from the shadows that lurk in the corners of our mind. The letters were but a prelude, harbinger of the darkness that now threatens to consume me. And so, dear reader, I leave you with this cautionary tale. Beware the secrets you keep, for they may one day rise to haunt you. In the end, we are all but prisoners of our own making, ensnared in the web of our darkest fear. In the dim glow of twilight, where shadows stretch long and whisper secrets, I found myself drawn to a peculiar work of art. It was at an auction, a place where the air buzzed with anticipation and the scent of old money lingered. Amongst the myriad of treasures, my eyes fell upon a painting, a masterpiece of haunting beauty, its colors vivid yet unsettling. The artist was unknown, provenance a mystery, yet I felt an inexplicable pull. As if the canvas itself beckoned me, I acquired it with little hesitation, thrill of possession coursing through my vein. Little did I know, this acquisition would mark the beginning of my descent into madness. Upon hanging the painting in my study, curious transformation began. My fortunes soared. Success followed me like a loyal hound. Opportunities appeared as if conjured by some unseen hand, and my life brimmed with joy and prosperity. Friends marveled at my newfound luck, attributing it to my keen eye for art. Yet beneath the veneer of happiness, a disquiet stirred. Strange occurrences began to plague my nights, whispers that slithered through the darkness, shadows that danced with malevolent intent. At first, I dismissed them as figments of an overactive imagination, the byproduct of a mind steeped in the macabre. But as the days turned to weeks, the disturbances grew bolder. Objects moved of their own accord. Cold drafts swept through rooms devoid of open windows, and the painting itself seemed to pulse with a life of its own. The once vibrant colors now appeared to shift and writhe, as if the very soul of the artwork was in turmoil. A chilling realization dawned upon me. Painting was cursed, a malevolent entity that fed upon my joy, siphoning my happiness to fuel its own dark existence. The successes I had attributed to fortune were but the bait, luring me into a trap from which there was no escape. Desperation clawed at my sanity as I sought to rid myself of the accursed thing. I attempted to sell it, to cast it from my home, but each effort was thwarted by some unforeseen calamity. It was as if the painting had entwined itself with my fate, binding us in a sinister pact. In a final act of defiance, I resolved to destroy it, to rid the world of its malevolence. But as I raised the blade to the canvas, a voice, soft and seductive, whispered from the depths of my mind, "You cannot destroy what you have become," it intoned, a chilling truth that froze my very soul. And so, I find myself ensnared, prisoner of my own desires, bound to a fate I cannot escape. The painting hangs still in my study, a silent sentinel of my despair, its colors ever shifting, ever consuming. Beware, dear reader, the allure of beauty, for it may conceal a darkness that hungers for your very essence. In the end, we are but playthings of fate, our joys and sorrows mere brushstrokes on the canvas of our lives. In the solitude of my chamber, where silence reigned supreme, I first heard it, a voice, soft and insidious, echoing the very thoughts that flitted through my mind. At first, I dismissed it as a trick of the imagination, a mere whisper carried by the wind. Yet, as the days wore on, the voice grew more persistent, more insistent, shadowing my every thought, its haunting refrain. It was as if my mind had become a cavern, and the voice, an echo that reverberated through its depth, taunting me with its presence. I questioned my sanity, fearing that I was succumbing to some insidious madness. But deep within, a curiosity stirred, compelling me to unravel the mystery of this spectral voice. I embarked on a journey of discovery, delving into the annals of my family's history, seeking answers in the dusty tomes and forgotten letters that lay hidden in the attic's gloom. The voice, ever present, guided my search, its tone shifting from mocking to mournful, as if pleading for release. It was amidst the yellowed pages of an old diary that I stumbled upon the truth. Dark secret, buried beneath layers of time and silence. The voice belonged to a spirit, restless soul bound to my bloodline by a pact forged in deceit and betrayal. My ancestor in his hubris had wronged this spirit, condemning it to an eternity of torment. The revelation struck me with the force of a tempest, unraveling the very fabric of my existence. The voice, far from being a harbinger of madness, was a cry for justice, plea for redemption. It sought to reveal the sins of the past, to lay bare the truth that had been shrouded in darkness, generations. With newfound resolve, I set about righting the wrongs of my forebear, seeking to free the spirit from its chains. Performed the rituals of old, invoking the ancient rites that had been passed down through whispers and shadows. The air grew thick with anticipation, the very walls of my chamber vibrating with the energy of the unseen. As the final incantation left my lips, a great stillness descended, and the voice, once a constant companion, fell silent. A sense of peace washed over me, as if the very essence of the spirit had been released, its torment at last brought to an end. Yet as I stand here, penning these words, I cannot shake the feeling that the echoes of the past still linger, that the shadows of my family's sins continue to haunt the corridors of my mind. The voice may be silent, but its presence endures, a reminder of the darkness that dwells within us all. Beware, dear reader, the whispers of the past. They may carry truths that are not easily borne. In the end, we are but vessels of our ancestors' deeds, bound to the echoes of their choices, forever haunted by the voices that seek to be heard. In the stillness of night, where reality blurs with the ethereal, I found myself ensnared by the allure of dreams. My days were a monotonous march, each one indistinguishable from the last, leaving my soul parched and yearning for more. It was in this state of restless longing that I encountered the Dreamweaver, a figure cloaked in shadows, promising escape from the mundane. The pact was simple, or so it seemed. Each night, as I surrendered to slumber, the Dreamweaver would weave tapestries of adventure and wonder, transporting me to realms beyond imagination. In return, I was to pay a price, though the nature of this price was shrouded in mystery, a detail I dismissed in my eagerness to escape. The dreams were intoxicating, each more vivid and exhilarating than the last. I soared through skies painted with colors unknown to waking eyes, danced with creatures of myth and legend, and reveled in the thrill of the impossible. My nights became a sanctuary, a refuge from the drudgery of daylight. Yet as the dreams grew richer, creeping unease settled upon me. I awoke each morning with a sense of loss, as if a part of me had been left behind in the dreamscape. My waking hours became a blur, my mind sluggish and unfocused, a shadow of its former self. It was then that the Dreamweaver revealed the true cost of our bargain. Each dream, each moment of bliss, was paid for with fragments of my soul, siphoned away to fuel the Dreamweaver's own existence. The adventures I so eagerly embraced were but illusions, crafted to ensnare and consume. Desperation clawed at my heart as I realized the depth of my folly. I sought to break the pact, to reclaim what had been taken, but the Dreamweaver's grip was unyielding, its laughter a cruel symphony echoing in the recesses of my mind. In a final act of defiance, I confronted the Dreamweaver within the confines of a dream, demanding release from its grasp. Figure, its form shifting and amorphous, regarded me with a gaze both pitying and amused. "You sought escape," intoned, "and escape you shall have, though not in the manner you desire." With those words, the dreamscape dissolved, leaving me adrift in a void of nothingness, prisoner of my own desires. My soul, fractured and incomplete, lingers in this liminal space, forever bound to the Dreamweaver's will. And so, dear listener, heed my tale of caution. Beware the siren call of dreams, for they may conceal a darkness that hungers for the light within you. In the end, we are but dreamers, caught in the web of our own making, forever yearning what we cannot have. In the witching hour, when shadows stretch long and the world holds its breath, I stumbled upon a place of mystery, a library that appeared only at midnight. Its entrance, hidden in an alley shrouded in fog, beckoned with an eerie allure. The sign above the door read, "The Midnight Library," its letters glowing faintly in the moonlight. Compelled by curiosity and a yearning for the unknown, I crossed the threshold into a realm where silence reigned, and the air was thick with the scent of aged parchment. Shelves stretched endlessly, laden with tomes whose spines whispered secret. Each book bore no title, only a strange symbol etched upon its cover. Drawn to a particular volume, I opened it, and as my eyes scanned the pages, a chill crept over me. The words seemed to shift and writhe, forming images that clawed at the edges of my mind. It was as if the book had reached into the depths of my soul, unearthing fears I had long buried. The library, I realized, was no ordinary place. Each book contained the reader's darkest fears, a mirror reflecting the shadows of their psyche. The more I read, the deeper I was pulled into a nightmare of my own making, a labyrinth of terror from which there seemed no escape. I saw visions of my greatest dreads: abandonment, failure, the loss of those I held dear. The pages turned of their own accord, each one revealing horrors more profound than the last. My heart raced, and the walls of the library seemed to close in, air growing heavy with the weight of my own dread. Desperation clawed at me as I sought to flee, to break free from the library's grasp. But the door through which I had entered was gone, replaced by an endless corridor of shelves, each one lined with books that whispered my name. In a moment of clarity, I understood the library's true nature. It was a test, crucible, in which I was to confront and conquer my fears or be consumed by them. Summoning every ounce of courage, I faced the phantoms that haunted me, acknowledging their presence but refusing to be ruled by them. With each fear I confronted, the library shifted, depressive weight lifting ever so slightly. The books, once menacing, now seemed to offer solace, their pages filled with the knowledge that fear, though powerful, could be tame. As the clock struck the final chime of midnight, the library began to dissolve, its shelves fading into the ether. I found myself standing once more in the fog-laden alley, the door to the Midnight Library now a mere shadow on the wall. And so, dear listener, heed my tale of caution. Should you find yourself drawn to the Midnight Library, know that it is a place of both terror and revelation. Within its walls, you will confront the darkest corners of your soul, and in doing so, discover the strength that lies within. In the end, we are all but travelers in the labyrinth of our own fears, seeking the light that will guide us home. In the stillness of a moonlit night, when time itself seemed to pause, I found myself drawn to the station, a place of solitude and whispers, where shadows lingered like forgotten memories. It was there that I first glimpsed the train, its arrival heralded by a mournful whistle that echoed through the chill air. The last train home, they called it, a spectral vessel that appeared only on nights when the veil between worlds grew thin. Compelled by an inexplicable urge, I boarded the train, its carriages steeped in an eerie silence. The passengers, a motley assembly of souls, sat in quiet contemplation, their eyes reflecting a sorrow that seemed to transcend time. As the train lurched forward, an air of inevitability settled over me, as if I had embarked upon a journey from which there was no return. The first to speak was an elderly man, his voice a fragile whisper that carried the weight of years. He spoke of lost love and shattered dreams, his tale a tapestry of regret woven with threads of longing. As he spoke, the carriage seemed to transform, shadows deepening to reveal glimpses of his past, a dance beneath starlit skies, a promise broken by the cruel hand of fate. Next was a woman, her eyes hollow and haunted, her story unfolded in fragments, each word a shard of pain that pierced the soul. She spoke of choices made in desperation, of paths taken that led to ruin. Her voice trembled with the echoes of a life unlived, a symphony of what-ifs that played endlessly in her mind. One by one, the passengers shared their tales, each more poignant than the last. A young man, his spirit crushed by the weight of expectation. A mother, forever searching for the child she lost. A scholar, driven to madness by the pursuit of forbidden knowledge. Their stories wove together, chorus of lament that resonated within the very bones of the train. As their voices faded into the night, I felt a chill seep into my bones, creeping dread that whispered of my own fate. What was my story, I wondered, and what path had led me to this spectral train? Passengers turned their gaze upon me, their eyes filled with a knowing that sent shivers down my spine. In that moment, the train slowed, its journey nearing its end. Passengers, their stories told, began to fade, their forms dissolving into the mist, swirled through the carriage. I stood alone, the weight of their tales pressing upon me, a reminder of the choices that shape our destiny. As the train came to a halt, I stepped onto the platform, chill night air a balm to my troubled soul. The last train home had revealed its secret, and in doing so had left me with a question that lingered like a specter. What path would I choose, and what story would I tell? And so, dear listener, heed my tale of caution. Should you find yourself drawn to the last train home, know that it is a journey of reflection, a passage through the shadows of the soul. In the end, we are all but travelers on the tracks of fate, seeking the light that will guide us to our final destination. In the heart of a forest shrouded in mystery, where the trees stood like ancient sentinels, I found myself in the company of friends, drawn by the allure of adventure and the promise of escape. The Whispering Woods, they called it, a place where the wind carried secrets and the shadows danced to a tune only the night could hear. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the world in hues of twilight, we set up camp, our laughter echoing through the trees. Yet, as darkness descended, a hush fell over the woods, and the air grew heavy with anticipation. It was then that we first heard it, a soft murmur, a susurration that seemed to emanate from the very earth itself. At first, we dismissed it as the wind, a trick of the mind in a place steeped in legend. But as the night deepened, the whispers grew more insistent, threading through the air like a haunting melody. They seemed to call to us, their words just beyond the edge of comprehension, a language both foreign and familiar. A sense of unease settled upon us, chill that crept into our bones despite the warmth of the fire. The whispers, once a mere curiosity, now carried a note of urgency, as if they sought to convey a warning, plea for heed. We huddled closer, our bravado waning in the face of the unknown. It was then that we noticed the change. A movement in the shadows, a presence that lurked just beyond the reach of the firelight. The forest, once a sanctuary, now felt like a trap, the trees closing in with a malevolent intent. The whispers grew frantic, a cacophony of voices that seemed to rise from the very ground beneath our feet. Panic gripped us as we realized the truth. The whispers were not mere echoes of the past, but warnings of a danger that had claimed others before us. Predator, ancient and cunning, stalked the woods, its hunger insatiable, its eyes ever watchful. In a frenzy, we gathered our belongings, driven by a primal instinct to flee. Forest, once a place of wonder, became a labyrinth of terror, the path obscured by shadows that seemed to shift and writhe. The whispers, now a chorus of desperation, guided our steps, urging us onward, away from the lurking menace. As we stumbled through the darkness, the whispers began to fade, their urgency giving way to a mournful farewell. We burst from the woods into the pale light of dawn, the safety of the open sky a balm to our frayed nerves. Behind us, the forest stood silent, secrets once more hidden beneath a veil of tranquility. And so, dear listener, heed my tale of caution. Should you venture into the whispering woods, remember that the whispers are not mere echoes of the past, but guardians of the present, seeking to protect those who dare to listen. In the end, we are but wanderers in a world of shadows, guided by the voices that seek to lead us home. In the waning light of a somber afternoon, I arrived at the old house, a relic of a bygone era, its walls steeped in the whispers of history. Bequeathed to me by a distant relative I scarcely knew, it stood as a monument to the past, presence both imposing and inviting. Little did I know, within its shadowed halls lay secrets long forgotten, waiting to be unearthed. Upon entering, I was greeted by the scent of dust and memory, the air thick with the passage of time. As I explored the rooms, my eyes fell upon a collection of photographs, their sepia tones capturing the visages of those who had once called this place home. Each face bore a story, a life lived within these very walls, their eyes seeming to follow me with a silent plea. As night descended, the house took on a different character, its corners deepening into pools of shadow. It was then that I first saw them, the spirits of the forgotten ones, their forms ethereal and flickering like candle flames. They moved through the rooms with a haunting grace, reenacting the final moments of their earthly existence. At first, I watched in silent awe, captivated by the spectral dance that unfolded before me. But as the nights wore on, a sense of dread crept into my heart. Spirits, once a mere curiosity, now seemed to convey a message, their actions a cryptic puzzle I felt compelled to solve. Driven by an insatiable curiosity, I delved into the history of the house, piecing together the lives of those who had come before. Photographs, once mere images, became windows into the past, revealing a tapestry of joy and sorrow, love and betrayal. It was a tale of a family bound by blood and secret, their lives entwined with the very fabric of the house. The spirits, I realized, were not merely echoes of the past, guardians of a truth long buried. Their reenactments, once inscrutable, now revealed a pattern, a dark secret that had festered within the family for generations. A betrayal, a crime of passion, an act of desperation that had sealed their fates and bound their souls to this place. As the final piece of the puzzle fell into place, the spirits gathered before me, their eyes filled with a sorrowful gratitude. Truth once hidden, now lay bare, a weight lifted from their weary soul. In that moment, I understood my role, not as a mere observer, but as a keeper of their story, a witness to their pain. With the dawn came a sense of peace, the spirits fading into the light, their presence a lingering whisper in the halls of the old house. Photographs, once a collection of strangers, now felt like family, their stories etched into the walls and into my heart. And so, dear listener, heed my tale of caution. Should you find yourself the inheritor of secrets long forgotten, know that the past is never truly buried. In the end, we are but custodians of memory, bound to the stories of those who came before, tasked with uncovering the truths that set their spirits free. In the shadowed corners of our newfound dwelling, house steeped in the whispers of yesteryears, my wife and I stumbled upon an enigma, a window, solitary and peculiar, set apart from the rest. Its glass shimmered with an ethereal light, as if imbued with the very essence of the unknown. It beckoned to us, a siren's call that promised secrets beyond comprehension. At first we regarded it as an oddity, a mere architectural quirk in a home that bore the weight of history. Yet, as we peered through its pane, the truth unfurled before us, a portal to a parallel universe, a world both alien and eerily familiar. The scenes it revealed were tantalizing glimpses of lives not our own, reflections of our reality tinged with the surreal. We watched, transfixed as our counterparts moved through their existence, their actions mirroring ours, yet diverging in ways both subtle and profound. It was a dance of possibility, a seductive glimpse into the myriad paths our lives might have taken. We found ourselves drawn deeper into its embrace, the boundary between our world and the one beyond growing ever more porous. As the days slipped into weeks, the window's allure tightened its grip upon. Our waking hours were consumed by the visions it offered, our thoughts ensnared by the phantoms that danced beyond the glass. The line between reality and illusion blurred, and we began to lose our grip on the world we once knew. Our lives, once harmonious, began to unravel. We became mere shadows of our former selves, our minds fractured by the duality of existence. The window, once a portal of wonder, now loomed as a specter of doom, its visions a torment from which there seemed no escape. In a moment of desperation, I resolved to sever its hold upon us. With trembling hands, I drew the curtains, casting the window into darkness. Yet, even as the glass was obscured, the images lingered in my mind, a haunting reminder of the abyss into which we had gazed. My wife, however, remained ensnared, her soul tethered to the world beyond. In her eyes I saw a reflection of the void, a longing that could not be sated. It was then that I understood the true horror of the window, not the visions it offered, but the emptiness it left behind. Our home, once a sanctuary, become a prison, the walls closing in with a malevolent intent. The whispers of the past now seemed to mock our folly, a chilling reminder of the peril we had invited into our lives. And so, dear listener, heed my tale of caution. Did you find yourself before a window that offers glimpses of the unknown? Remember that some mysteries are best left unsolved. In the end, we are but fragile beings, our grasp on reality tenuous at best, forever at risk of being swept away by the currents of the unseen.